Good morning and welcome to all of you to this 31st episode of the Anno Domini podcast. By now, pretty much the entire world saw last night, finally, President or former President Donald Trump, now confirmed official candidate, Republican candidate for the election this year, November the 5th. We are all excited about it, and a lot of things happening throughout the day before his speech. And what I wanted to do today, since I believe and I assume that many of you watched the speech, it was an 1 hour, 32-minute speech. As somebody was saying on Twitter, Trump worked more in one night than Joe Biden works in a week, or his speech was longer than Joe Biden's week work. And that's pretty much a fact, right? The president in the White House right now is not feeling well. There is this report of being under the weather again with COVID. So whatever is happening there, we know that the stamina between the two candidates is just completely north and south. There's no way to even correlate them, although Trump is already 78 years old. But there is a lot of experience, a lot of, I would say blood, in the sense that we in Latin America have this idea that the blood is when it boils, not only when you explode in anger, but when you do something with all your heart. We say that you're doing that with your blood, meaning that Trump is all in. Trump is absolutely in the game. And all of the Democrat pundits that I read about last night and this morning, they are saying, and I mean, the ones that can be honest, because many of them, we know that they cannot be honest, but the ones being honest are saying, I have never, or I had never seen such an organized event. And number two, I had never seen a speech, and pretty much the speech, Trump's speech is right now, was not what I was expecting. They were, again, that fake idea that Trump is a divider in chief was there, and they saw a man trying to unite the country, saying, I'm not going to be a president of half of the country. I want to be the president of the whole country. So with that, I would like to bring to you your attention some of the points that I took note about last night. One of the things right from the beginning is that all of us, many of us, the ones connected with me here in the Nehemiah School of Government and the group text that we have, we were talking about how the RNC, the Republican National Convention, started as a Democrat convention, right? It started there. You could not see I could not see any difference between what I saw. I had the sadness of seeing one or two of Democrat convention, national convention, and the Republican convention. They were pretty much the same. The idea of inclusivity, the idea of not offending anybody, the idea of invoking other gods with lowercase g. So with time, so that's the RNC started on Monday. On Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday were just horrible days. But then Ben Carson steps in, and Dr. Ben Carson brings a very profound spiritual message that really resonates and speaks to the hearts of those who are the real Republicans out here in the flyover country, in the heartland. That's the type of message that we want to hear. I understand, as some pundits and thinkers were talking about on Monday and on Tuesday, well, we cannot and we should not talk only to the countryside. We need to talk to the urban areas, to the metropolises, to the Trump voters, and to the Republicans and to the conservatives and to the Christians in urban areas, in Dallas, in Houston, in Chicago, in New York, in Los Angeles, and so on and so forth. And I understand that. But what I saw was not any talk to them, was pandering to a type of voter that pretty much Trump is not going to happen. If there are fence sitters right now, they are not going to vote for Trump because, they just got softened, or they soften up the abortion agenda or the pro-life agenda, because they soften up the immigration agenda or whatever. So he is not going to have those votes. So the votes that Donald Trump is going to have, and we know that he's going to have many, many votes from the independents, many votes from even Democrats. But those who he was trying to pander to, they are not going to jump the fence to our side. So that is very clear right now. And this is why Monday and Tuesday were 2 days that were very hard to watch for all of us, painful to watch, right? And we were sort of infuriating. Those were infuriating days. There were, like, again, back to the blood, right? Blood boiling experiences and moments that happened on Monday, on Tuesday, that we were not pleased at all with. So now Wednesday came, and yesterday, and then an RNC that started as Democrat finally, and thank God, it ended up with a very powerful Republican, conservative, Christian tone. And this is the first thing that Trump says, and I took some notes here. So I'm going to divide this short talk to you on what you saw, on what everybody is talking about. And the second part, I'm going to talk about what not many people are talking about, which is exactly my major concern and my major attention. The second part that not many people are talking about. This will be talked about very soon, but not now. So things that were talked about last night, Trump talked about healing. That was the first word that came out of his mouth. And of course, the attack, the grazed ear, being healed, that process, and his heart being healed, his family being healed. He is experiencing healing himself. And as such, it was very easy for him to talk about healing process. So that was amazing to see. He said, we either rise together or we fall apart. We either rise together or we fall apart. And it made me remember Ronald Reagan when he said, we have to be one nation under God, or we will be a nation gone under. So he was crying. It was a battle cry. He was rallying his people, not only to heal, but to unite. So that what we already knew, that he had changed completely the speech, and he would focus on unity and on peace. Point number 3, he said many times, God is at my side. God was at my side in Butler, Pennsylvania. And one thing that he brought to our attention that, wow, I had never thought about that. Nobody that I read had thought about that, had talked about that, when he said, thank God there was no stampede after the shot or the shots. Thank God nobody moved. He said it was amazing to see that the crowd that was there, and he said, well, they love me, right? That's Trump, the Trump being Trump, right? And he said they did not go anywhere, because if there had been a stampede, more and more people would have been hurt and even killed. And he said, and he mentioned that in this topic of mentioning God was at my side. He said a couple of times, I am not supposed to be here. And the folks, the RNC crowd said, no, you were. But we understand what he was talking about. He was talking about his near-death experience. Of course, he was not supposed to be there, right? But he was recognizing God in that. When he said, I was not supposed to be to be here tonight, he was saying, I don't control life and I don't control death. I'm here because God spared my life, and I am recognizing this, and I am honoring the God that spared my life. He talked about grace, the grace of the Almighty God. He put himself below God for the first time. That was my note last night. That was probably the first time that I saw Trump putting himself below God. Not that he would call himself God. He never did that. But there was this pride, this arrogance that I did not see, and many, many Americans did not see last night. It was a changed man. It was a changed individual person, but it was a changed leader. And I bring to our attention again what Tucker Carlson said. He said, I lived in Washington, D.C. for 35 years, and everything that Washington cares for is power. But he said, there is no way you can be a leader by calling yourself leader. You can call yourself a president, but a president is not a leader. You can call yourself a senator, but a senator herself is not a leader. And Tucker said, a leader makes his way into leadership. A leader impersonates, incorporates, embodies leading the people by example. And this is why this happened when the moment he was mentioning, Trump just going to the ground, just ducking the bullets, and all of a sudden rising up and fist in the air, pumping in the air and saying, fight, fight, fight. He said, that's what a leader is. A leader loves its people, or his people, right? One nation under God. Said that many times. We are one nation under God. He repeated the preamble of the Declaration of Independence. He mentioned stability in the world. And as you will see on the second part of this conversation this morning, when he said stability in the world, he did not mean, I believe, this is my analysis, he was not meaning when he said that he is going to be very actively trying to bring stability to the world, meaning as America is a global empire and a global military force, we are going to keep going down that route of bringing stability and peace to the world. I don't believe that's what he said, and you're going to see why I'm saying this in the second part of this talk this morning. Life is a gift from God. So he mentioned God many, many times, and it was not lip service. It was sincere. It was honest. That was what I saw. What I saw in his eyes, in his countenance, in the tone of his voice, in the way he walked into and out of the stage. The fact that he brought the helmet and the garment, the apparel of the fireman that was killed. I mean, he did not kill, but probably that bullet killed the fireman that just jumped on top of his family to protect them and was hit. And that was amazing. I mean, the Democrat journalists last night that I saw were saying, that moment right there when he kisses the helmet, that was fantastic. And that is going to be used many, many times. You remember when he hugged the flag, the American flag? That moment last night is going to ring exactly the same. It's going to be seen all across the world as a man that not only loves his country, but a man that loves its people, the nation comprised of people, right? Success will bring us together. That was very profound, very powerful, because he's been saying this. Our retribution will be success. He said, I'm not going to be vengeful, which is exactly what I have been praying for before the Lord and asking God to really protect his heart against any vengeful retribution. And he said that again, success is going to be our retribution, or success will bring us together. And I believe that, and I agree with that. When you are proud of your country, when you are engaged and you feel that you are a part of what is being done to the nation, and your life gets better, and there are more job opportunities, and the border is closed, and inflation is under control, and everything that he said he was going to, when we drill baby drill, right? Those were the three major points from last night. Seal the border, shut the border, deport everybody that's being here illegally that should not be here. Number two, he mentioned many times the inflation control. And number three, he talked about drilling and bringing back the richness, or the riches, or the prosperity of the American underground, right? Which is oil. So those three messages resonates with a lot of folks, meaning if we have a country in which the economy is under control, the economy is blessing, especially the little ones and the middle class, that is when you identify yourself with that country, with that nation again. And so success brings togetherness. So that is what I wanted to say. Let me say one final thing about what I believe is going to happen right now on the other side, the Democrat side. So we heard last night, as he was talking, we heard that there is a whole reshuffle in the campaign on the Democrat side, and we are hearing that now promises that Joe Biden is going to be stepping down the race this weekend. And with that, well, he's not going to step down from the presidency. He's going to be the president until January 20th, 2025. But he is not going to be the running mate, or the oppositor, the oppositor to Trump, the opponent to Trump, the Democrat candidate. So they are bringing Kamala Harris to that position, and bringing two or three other names to have an open convention so people can vote. And I don't believe at all that they're going to throw Kamala Harris under the bus, as many of you know, and many of you have been very aware of and very, very certain about. So with that, I believe that we're going to start seeing a love story between the media and Kamala Harris. They are going to hype her up to the maximum extent. The first woman to break the glass ceiling, all of that story that Hillary Clinton was not able to accomplish in 2016. They probably now are going to hype her up. And the way I see it, there's no way it can be any other name. It has to be Kamala Harris because of the rules of engagement that their own party has, right? If they did this, and if they do this, they are going to have a lot of angry folks out there. And you know what I'm talking about. So I just wanted to throw this out there right now, just to wrap up this first part. The second part is the more consistent to me, because this is what I have been doing for a long time now. Okay, what is the next phase to the United States of America if Trump wins? So on Monday, I'm going to bring a show specifically on this topic. What happens if Trump wins? What happens to the world? What happens especially to the United States of America? And I'm not talking about only the successes and the accomplishments. I'm talking also about the retributions, the reactions to that, the negative reactions, the resistance. Remember in 2017 when he won, the Democrat Party started saying over and over again, we are the resistance. We are the resistance. He is not my president, not my president. This is going to be, intensified 100 times now. So I'm starting my Monday talk by this text that I want to read to you. And this is based on a book that I have been reading for a little while now. It's a thick book, 500 pages. Here it is. The End of the World is Just the Beginning, Mapping the Collapse of Globalization. Peter Zeihan is talking about the end of globalization, and I'm going to explain what he means when he says that. And he says we are entering the last breaths of globalization, next decade, according to his analysis. And everything I see in front of me right now, as an analyst myself, I believe that he is proven right by the pathway that we can see all around the world today. But I was very focused last night on what Trump would send as a message to the world. As I said, and I believe that with all my heart, that every single president of the world was paying attention to his speech. Putin, Xi Jinping, so China, Russia, the BRICS, Brazil, everybody was, India, they were watching. They were paying attention to the pathway that Trump was going to design, to draw. And he did draw a pathway last night. And the pathway that he drew last night was exactly the same pathway from 2016, the same pathway of 2020, meaning he did not change. He is now more nationalistic than he was 8 years ago or 4 years ago. So with that, meaning Trump is now paying more attention to America. And he said several times, America first, America first, America first. Peter Zeihan is saying that as soon as the United States gives up and gets out of the world globalized structure and framework, the world will change. And America will not need to do anything just by the absence of the United States of America out of international treaties, out of the United Nations, out of the WHO, or whatever international body or entity. This is going to change the world. It will force the world to realign per se. And if Trump brings the economy back into his control, the US dollar is not going anywhere. The BRICS, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and now 27 other countries of the world that have already aligned with the BRICS nations, they will have to find another way, and probably they're going to come back to the US dollar. We don't know. But I want to read to you just a summary of what Peter Zeihan talks about in his book about the end of globalization. He says, I'm quoting now, 2019 was the last great year for the world economy. For generations, everything has been getting faster, better, and cheaper. Finally, we reached the point when almost anything we could ever want could be sent to our home within days, even hours, of when we decided and wanted it. America made that happen. But now, America has lost interest in keeping it going. Global spanning supply chains are possible only with the protection of the U.S. Navy. Peter Zeihan says, we are not the police of the world, as many people say. We are the Coast Guard of the world. And he explains why in the book. The American dollar underpins internationalized energy and financial markets. Complex, innovative industries were created to satisfy American consumers. American security policy forced warring nations to lay down their arms. Billions of people have been fed and educated as the American-led trade system spread across the globe. All of this was artificial. All of this was temporary. And all of this has ended. He says it ended in 2019. In the End of the World is Just the Beginning. That's the name of his book. Author and geopolitical strategist Peter Zeihan maps out the next world. So it's a new world. A world in which countries or regions will have no choice but to make their own goods, grow their own food, secure their own energy, fight their own battles, and do it all with populations that are both shrinking and aging. The list of countries that make it all work is smaller than you think, he says, which means everything about our interconnected world, from how we manufacture products to how we grow our food to how we keep the lights on to how we shuttle stuff out and about to how we pay for all of it, is all about to change. A world ending, a world beginning. Those are the words of Peter Zion in this book that I am going to be bringing more to your attention starting on Monday. So this is a pivotal, a crucial moment in world history. And again, I am so glad that I'm living and experiencing and writing history. We are all part of a changing moment in human history on the face of this planet. And we need to be prepared for what's coming. So that is going to be my topic next Monday until, well, except if something like terrifying out of the box happens, that's going to be where I'm going to start next week's podcast. So with that, I hope you have a blessed weekend with your family. I hope that you seek the Lord in his word and seek for protection in these dark days. And I also, with that, as you seek the Lord for protection and for light and for wisdom and instruction, be yourself a light, a beacon of light to people around you, people that are in the darkness. Bring them to Jesus and bring Jesus to them. May God bless you. May God bless your family, and see you on Monday.